Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
Ended up in the sales world, went from being an outside sales rep to running a $20 million company by the time I was 27. And I don't share that to say, look at me. I share it because I learned how to sell. Selling is a learned skill. And once I got that, I never looked back and eventually escaped, like many of us, from the corporate world and started my own company to help entrepreneurs sell because nobody teaches us how to do it.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on visibility strategies for women entrepreneurs. If you want to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice and business, you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marcia Spurk, and I'm your host, professional singer and visibility strategist. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Ever thought about investing in the stock market but don't know where to start? Introducing Market Minds by Market Start, the all-new platform designed to make stock market investing simple, fast, and profitable. So why wait? Start your journey to financial success today. Visit themarketstart.com and take control of your future. Great leadership isn't accidental, it's intentional. In Care to Lead, Alex Draper reveals the key to building high-performing, people-first environments at work and at home through the powerful CARE equation: clarity, autonomy, relationships, and equity. Ready to lead and influence with impact? Grab your copy now at alex-draper.com and start your journey to better leadership today. Hi, Ursula. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Marta, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. I'm excited for our chat. Why don't you kick us off telling us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So background, I am an accidental salesperson who grew up on a farm in southern Minnesota. And if you'd have told me this is what I'd be doing, I would have laughed you out the door because back in the day, to me, hard work was throwing bales under a 110-degree tin roof. And so I ended up going to college, got a degree in psychology and communication, couldn't do anything with it, but everyone's like, oh, you can sell, which is, I think, how a lot of us become accidental salespeople. Ended up in the sales world, went from being an outside sales rep to running a $20 million company by the time I was 27. And I don't share that to say, look at me. I share it because I learned how to sell. Selling is a learned skill. And once I got that, I never looked back and eventually escaped, like many of us, from the corporate world and started my own company to help entrepreneurs sell because nobody teaches us how to do it.
That's right. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And sales is a skill, as you know, right? Even if you have no background, if you learn it and you practice it, you get better at it. So I'm excited that you're sharing your experience and your wisdom with the world. Tell me more about your experience in corporate and then the transition. I feel like that's so helpful for people considering starting a business or for those that have started and are still kind of in the trenches. I mean, we're always in the trenches, but we know that those beginning years are not easy. So tell us.
Yeah. Yeah. So as the company grew, the other company, the corporate world company, there was a point where I was like, I don't know that this is my forever dream job. I was selling computer training and consulting. And if you can kind of get a sense of my personality, like that's probably not like my forever dream. I did learn how to sell training and that was very helpful. At some point, though, I started to get this thought. I was like, what would it be like to coach business owners or coach people? Because I had a steady stream of employees coming in who didn't necessarily want to just talk about their job or their sales challenges. They were sharing a lot of things. And what I realized is that when people are heard, when you're able to hold safe space for people, changes happen. It's not always about the sales stuff. It's not always about the skills. It's not always about those things. So I started to love the coaching piece. And I thought, what if I had a coaching business someday? Now, here's what's interesting. My health took a dive. So back in the day, in late 20s, I had what we call chronic shingles. If you ever had shingles, no laughing matter. I had them chronically. My body was like, get out, get out, get out. I wasn't listening. Finally, the owner sold the company. So it was sort of like I got kicked out. At that time, I had an opportunity to buy into that company. And I was like, no, I just knew that I was done. My body was telling me I didn't listen right away. And then I interviewed. I went out and started interviewing. And one day this well-intentioned recruiter was like, Ursula, why don't you just start your own company? And that was his takeaway close. That was his like, I'm going to take this job away from you because he presented me with this great job. And I was like, I don't know. I was hemming and hawing. He's like, why don't you just start your own company? And it sunk in. I went home. I said it to my husband. I was like, that guy said I should start my own company. My husband was like, I've been telling you that, but we got to hear it from somebody else. And so that's when I made the shift. And I'll say this, like having my own business, and maybe you can relate, is the biggest self-development course I've ever gone through. It has tested everything about who I am, who I thought I was, who I needed to be to have a business, grow a business, and be there for our clients. So it's been an extraordinary experience and painful at times. So what I could say to somebody who's like on the fence or thinking about it or wanting to make that shift is put your seatbelt on. And if you're feeling the call, like, there's a reason for that. You're meant to grow. You're meant to transform. You're not meant to stay stagnant.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. So many things to unpack. And I was chuckling here because my husband says the same thing. Well, of course, let's hear this from somebody else. I've been writing this for years.
Right. Hello.
It's just the way that it is. And also, I always say marriage, motherhood, and entrepreneurship are the things that are going to hold up a big old mirror in front of you and show you who you are, right?
Yes.
Show you your weaknesses and the opportunities for growth and change. So definitely buckle up. Know that it's going to be a wild ride, but so worth it, because it's just, I think, making the most out of our time on this earth, because it's just expedited growth. Now, speaking of growth and how you help entrepreneurs and business owners to sell, tell us more about the number one strategy. What are the things that you help your clients with in terms of scaling and growing their business and making more sales?
Yeah, great question. The first strategy, the number one strategy that I wish people knew was, it's so important to create your first, what I call, revenue container. People are like, why do you use that word? I don't know, because that's what it feels like to me. Or some people call it a projection, a revenue model. In other words, or take a piece of paper and simply write out a 12-month plan. How much revenue would you like to do over the next 12 months? And what's the breakdown per month? Now, the reason this is so important is because most entrepreneurs will kick back at me, especially in the beginning. Totally get it. We're not trained to think about the numbers. We're not trained to read a profit and loss statement, a P&L. No one teaches us how to do that. So it's like, I don't want to be in the numbers. I hear this a lot. I hear it more from our beautiful women clients than our guys. This pushback at Ursula, I don't know the numbers. A lot of shame in that game of like, I don't. And here's the thing. The faster you can become friends with your numbers, the easier it will be to grow. And you can do that by creating a very simple revenue model, right? Like, a lot of people come to me, they're like, I want to have $1 million business. Forget that. Like, we've been programmed to think that's the magic number. Okay, well, where are we right now? Where do we want to start? Most people really want their first 100K, which, Marta, you and I both know is the hardest $100,000 you're ever going to make in your entire life, right? That first 100K is just pure pain. That is childbirth to me. I have one mirror, by the way. My one mirror is 11 years old, a beautiful boy. Anyway, so create that strategy, right? And just start to kind of swim around in it. Okay. Because once you have it on paper, your subconscious mind starts to dial in. And this is so important. A lot of people miss this step because your reticular activating system, that part of your brain that's trained to see things out there, trained to see opportunities, starts to hone in. And that's when people say, oh, you'll see the next step after you start your goal. That's what happens. You'll start to see the next steps on how to grow the business. I'll give you an example from a coaching group yesterday. It's a fresh example. Okay. Working with a beautiful client, and she's looking to grow probably to multiple six figures. This is her next level. We've been working on this for a little while. Resistance has been high. God bless her. I get it. Resistance has been high. An opportunity, a beautiful opportunity has shown up for her. And the resistance came up. And her question to us was like, is this the right opportunity? And she was kind of giving us all the right reasons all the reasons of why not to do it. Seemed kind of right. But so her resistance was coming up. And that's the amygdala part of our brain, that reptilian old school part that says, stay safe. Stay in your comfort zone. Don't step out. And when I reflected back to her, I was like, listen, you created a revenue model for $250,000. The next step has shown up. I'm not surprised you don't want to do it. None of us want to get out of the comfort zone. I will say this, every time you do this exercise and create the container, the next step, I guarantee it will show up. And I also can almost guarantee you absolutely don't want to do it. However, when you do it, the opportunities, the money, the clients, they're on the other side of all the things you don't want to do.
Oh my gosh, that is gold. The next step is always in the resistance, right? And that's why we're not there yet. What is the quote that says, to get what you've never had, you're going to have to do things you've never done?
Never done before. Yes.
Very, very basic, but we struggle with every time.
To me, that is everything, right? Is noticing, and I do it, you do it, we all do it, right? It's not saying because I'm standing here on this podcast, I live with this stuff every day. That's why I'm a coach, right? It's like, what is that next thing I'm resisting doing? And I'll be perfectly honest. I was resisting going back out and doing more live events. I mean, the pandemic was great. We went super virtual, like a lot of people, like we're living in our virtual world. We have international clients and it's all great. And there's been this pull to be out in the person where you have to put pants on that match your shirt. Okay. I was resistant. However, my first live event since the pandemic out in person is scheduled for April. So all I'm saying is like, I get it.
Yeah, right. Well, and it's just back to what you were saying. If you're feeling that pull to quit corporate and start your business, so back to the beginning, there's something there. So this is great encouragement for anyone listening. You already know what the next scary thing is, and you're totally avoiding it. So let this conversation confirm to you that that's the path.
Yes.
Right?
What a great sign. Let's all take it as a sign. Yes.
Yes, 100%. I love that. Well, since you were talking about coaching a client, group container, why don't you tell us more how you work with clients? Because we're all curious to know how you guide people to make sales more effortless and hone in on that skill.
Yeah. So I shared my story back in the day, like loved sales in the corporate world. I worked with a lot of sales professionals. So when I left, the natural inclination was to work in the sales space. So sales teams in the beginning, but then I started noticing that business owners were really struggling with the sales piece. Of course, like they hadn't been taught how to sell any of those pieces. And so over the years, my company has grown from being sales coaching and training. Now we've expanded our container into working with business owners who really want to scale, but who also know that, like, scale meaning they want to grow their business to multi 6 or 7 figures, right? And who know that they struggle in the sales and marketing piece. Like that's kind of our sweet spot where we like to start. Like if somebody's got that and they're going gangbusters, then that's probably not our client. But someone who's like, I'm really stuck with the sales part. I'm getting it. I know I could do better.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be my next guest on the Empowered Woman podcast? Do you have a story you'd like to share? Want more visibility for your business on a show ranked in the top 0.5% in the world? Well, then head on over to martasburke.com/podcast guest for more information.
That's where most of our clients begin. And we work with them in a group setting and in private coaching.
Awesome. And then what is a program that you have right now that people could go check out and learn more information? Obviously, we're going to have all the links in the show notes, but tell us more.
Thanks for asking. So we have a course called the Profit Accelerator, and it's a 1-day course because I know 2 days can be a lot if you're running your own business. Profit Accelerator is exactly what it says. It's made to accelerate your profits by focusing on sales. Where am I stuck in the sales process? What's not working? How can I get more sales? Marketing. What are the 3 ways that I'm marketing consistently? How am I tracking that? And then a little bit on hiring and scaling. How do I scale to that next level? So it's in 1 day, we really transform from top to bottom where your business is going, where you want to take it. And we also include 30 minutes of coaching on the front end of that. So I can take a little deep dive into your business before you get there to look at the 3 bottlenecks, like where are you really getting stuck in the business right now? So that way the course can be a little bit more customized for you when you're there.
Oh, I love that format, and very enticing to do 1 day because we want it and we want it now, but obviously to really dive deep and find where you're getting stuck. I love that you said that. And speaking of that, I'd love for us to touch on a little bit of like limiting beliefs and the different things we kind of already talked about. I love that story about your client of, you know, she wants to grow. She knows she needs to do X, Y, Z, and she doesn't want to do So talk to us about those limiting beliefs and how we can handle that and how you guide clients through that.
Yeah. First of all, I'm super fascinated by the subconscious mind and how it blocks us. Like that is probably, for a lot of us, right? Super interesting to me. And the reason I have a bachelor's in psychology, I have a master's degree in psychology because I was on my own journey. I'm like, why am I stuck? What are my limiting beliefs and what is a limiting belief? And then I ended up getting certified in NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. And what I loved was the study of belief and how what we call a limiting belief or kind of a stuck belief can keep us anchored in the same spot. I wanted to understand that because I saw my clients getting stuck. I saw myself getting stuck. And so over the years, over 2 decades, I have honed a process to quickly get to a limiting belief, because we can spend, we could spend years laying on a couch trying to figure it out. And that's one way to do it. Or we can just get, as business owners, we're like, we want it now, we got to figure it out, let's move on. So the fastest way to figure out what your limiting belief is around your sales and your business is to set a stretch goal. I like saying stretch, we know what that means. I also call them a quantum revenue goal. Let's say you've been at 100,000 and you want to double. Easy math, that's 200,000 a year, okay? And you're like, I have no idea how to get there, right? I'm like, what is that? I don't want our clients to set goals that they already know how to get to, because then we'll get in the way, right? So when you set a stretch goal, a lot of our clients double, some 4x, some want a 10x, but let's just say double. So you set that goal of 200,000. And then you make a revenue model. Every month it's, X amount per month, like 16 grand a month. And you swim around in it for a minute. And then you ask yourself this question: what do I believe about that, about getting there? What do I believe about it? Because a lot of times immediately what will come up is like, the belief is like, I can't do it. Okay. Why do I believe I can't do it? Well, this one I get a lot. I don't think there's enough clients out there that want, right? I don't think there's enough. Okay. So subconscious mind keeping us safe. To let go of this limiting belief, a really quick way to do it is to ask yourself another question. And ask yourself this question: what are 3 things that are potentially not true about this belief, but there's not enough out there? And I have our clients like really dig into that. And everyone who's listening, you can do that right now. What's not true about that? 1, well, there's competitors who are 100 times more in revenue than I am. So there must be a lot, right? 8 billion people on the planet, probably enough for me too, right? So other people are doing it. Number 3, if I got to 100K already, it would just be twice that. I could actually see the path, right? So you start to ask what's not true about it, and it begins to fall away. From there, I love to create what I call an achieving belief, which has some key components. It starts with I am. Okay. I am, because anything you say after that, your subconscious mind thinks is true. Isn't that interesting, right? So I am the owner of a $200,000 business or $16,000 a month business, and I only work 20 hours per week or less. We always add that on because most of the clients who show up in our life, in our business, are moms. They only want to work 20, 25 hours a week. They still want to double. So that's what we help them do. So by having that new statement, right? That new I am a business owner of a $200,000 business, I only work 20 hours a week, right? Starting to just settle in on that, your subconscious mind starts to believe it because you already said the 2 words, I am. And then you start to see the opportunities that I find are already around you. They're already around you.
Yes.
The way to get there already exists around you. And that's a big one. And Marta, I know you know this. Like once you set that goal, you start to see the next steps and you start to realize, sometimes for me, it's like, ooh, ow, like that opportunity's been sitting there for a minute. I just couldn't even recognize it because I didn't open up the space to see it.
Yes, 100%. Well, and it goes back to the RAS that you were talking about. Once you expose yourself, you entertain that desire, right? The desire's there, but it's like, I could not, how, never. But once you're like, right, this is what I want to do, all of a sudden, all these things start opening up. And I love the exercise of prove yourself wrong. This is possible.
Yeah.
How, right? That is very, very key. I love that so much. I love that you focus on the mindset, because sometimes people are like, give me the numbers, give me the spreadsheet. And you said we need to look at the numbers as well. But sometimes you could look at the numbers all day long and there are still those blocks. You got to handle those blocks. It has to be both. So
it's both. Yeah.
I love that you handle both. And you do have some free resources for people that are listening and wanting to learn more. Tell us more.
Yes, we have the Belief Zone Masterclass. So if you're like, I'm having some limiting beliefs, or this is really resonating with me, it's a free course. It's 3 parts, and it helps you, 1, identify what I call your quantum revenue container. So what's your next level in business? And then immediately, like, what are the limiting beliefs that are coming up around it? And it helps you clear those. And the last part is like, then once I get there, how can I collapse time and get to the next level even faster in my business? So it's a nice 3-part, it's only 3 hours. Could be transformative for you.
Very good. I love it. So make sure and check it out, people. We're going to put the link in the show notes. Now, before we wrap up, I like to ask all of my guests my $1 million question. I love that you said, I want $1 million business, because that's what it said I need to have. So I love that you guide your clients into creating their own goals, right? It's so easy in this business world, especially online, to just be tied to other people's goals and other people's definition of success. So I love that you work individually with your clients on that. Anyways, without further ado, are you ready for my $1 million question?
I'm so ready. I'm so excited. I'm ready. Okay.
So Ursula, what is an empowered woman then?
I just want to be with that question. No, an empowered woman is willing to do the hard things that she doesn't want to do, but she knows what's on the other side of that for herself and her business and for her clients, and doesn't let anything stop her.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, which perfectly wraps up everything we just said, right? Do the hard things, because there's lots of rewards on the other side, like on so many ways, not only the results, but the change and evolution of yourself, which is amazing. I love that so much. Well, tell us how people can connect with you. Where do you hang out the most? We'll have all the links in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm all the places. Instagram's a fun place to hang out, and we give stuff away on there, on that platform. If you're more on LinkedIn, I'm over there. If you prefer Facebook, I'm over there. So Ursula Mentjes or 7-Figure CEO, you can find me there.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and your lively personality. This was delightful.
Marta, so nice to meet you. I feel the same, and I'm super excited to be connected with you and all your listeners. I wish you the best.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends, or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.